Good morning. I want to talk about quiet time, personal devotion. These kind of phrases, they're kind of good phrases. They're very descriptive. Quiet time kind of just does what it says on the tin. It means to get quiet. It means a quiet place, and then also to quieten your heart. And the second word, time, it takes some time. We have to give time to it. And it is kind of there that our soul is nurtured. It's there that we kind of connect ourselves to the vine. We abide in the vine and we are nourished from the life of the vine. And the second one we said is personal devotional. And it is personal because it's yours, you personally. Your life is different, your personality is different, your schedule is different, your present needs are different than other people's. And then the second word, devotion, that we do devote ourselves to it. And it's devoting ourselves to God, not time with your habit, but time with God. So, like, often when we think of our growth in the Christian faith, you know, there are certain things that are important to us. We say fellowship, the reading the Bible, prayer, being a witness, different things like this. And these are good. There's a thing called what they used to call the means of grace. God gives grace. We cannot earn grace. It is given freely. But he tends to channel it through certain ways. And it tends to be those that have been used throughout the Christian history in the New Testament times. Prayer. God usually pours his grace on us through prayer, through the scriptures. And just want to add, like I heard a few people say, for years I've had two arrows in my quiver. Prayer and Bible study, both of them very profitable, very useful for us. But there are others that over the church history and over the times of church history, they had many practices that they found nourished the Christian life. Because we cannot save ourselves. We cannot save ourselves. We cannot cleanse our own sin. We cannot forgive our own sins. God does that. But also the process of sanctification. We can't do it. At least we can't do it fully. Like I said, there's a means of grace. Sometimes you put yourself in the places where God tends to channel our grace, his grace towards us. We put ourselves in those. So even though these, what they're called, there's a well-known book by Richard Foster called Celebration of Discipline. And he calls it celebration because it does bring a celebration and joy. And he takes a lot of the Christian disciplines that were used over the centuries, and he uses them and he breaks them up into three groups. But two of them are, one is the personal ones, like I said, the quiet time, prayer, Bible study, silence, solitude. The second ones are corporate disciplines, service, simplicity, and then community, fellowship. So he puts them like that. So let me just mention a couple, and I'm saying these that, as I said, they are personal devotions, that it's personal for you. And, you know, if we say, okay, you know, life is busy, I live in a city, but if we have 10, 15 minutes a day and we can give it in a quiet and in setting time apart for God, see, can we bump it up to 20 minutes? If you do 20 minutes a day, can you bump it up to 30 minutes? And there's a point comes that it's going to be, you know, it fits. And, you know, you keep reshaping these things till you get it, that it fits who you are and where you're at. But we push ourselves. It's like in running. If you do any distance running, what they say is you keep adding 10%. If you are trying to run 5K or 10 kilometers, what are you doing? If you can get yourself up to 3 kilometers, and then what you do is the next day you add 10%. You try to go, I'm going to go 3 kilometers and an extra 300 meters. And then not maybe the next day, you keep that going for a while, and then next week you're going to add another one, and you keep incrementally building up. So that's how long distance runners push themselves right up to 10K and on to marathons. And the same in this, we just bump it up a little bit. Whatever we're doing, we just try to bump it up a little bit from where we're at. But silence is difficult. Quiet time, to get quiet, to get a quiet place, not always easy. Early morning can be good, late night can be good. If you're a mother and the children sleep in the day, maybe that's the time. And but quiet time, that it's a quiet with noise around the bed, and then to actually quieten the heart is not always the easiest thing to do. And just sitting quiet before God. And they say, you know, you can read these books. There's so many good people who've written on these things over the years. Richard Foster, as I said, Celebration of Discipline, and you know, there's all sorts of material out there. And John Mark Comer has a whole series on this. You'll find him on the internet, John Mark Comer. He has Practicing the Way, which is kind of taking those disciplines, and he has taken them and popularized them. He said that himself. He's able to take it and articulate it and explain it and push it into a way that works with our schedules. So just to say, there are others. There is prayer, there is Bible study, but there is a time of quietness where you get apart, and really you're just putting yourself in the presence of God, that the great physician can work on the deep part of the soul, the parts we cannot reach, and we put ourselves quietly in his presence, and he does a work in us, and it is all part of his salvation. Okay, just some food for thoughts. Okay, God bless you. Amen.